Thinking about making a move to Calgary in 2025? Well, you're not alone, as hundreds of people are moving here every single day. But it's not all about low taxes and mountain views. From unpredictable weather to wild real estate swings, here is the full truth about Calgary that no one else is willing to tell you. Let's get into it. Now, why should you listen to me? Well, I'd say it's because I've lived in every single quadrant of the city at one point in my life. I'm a born and raised Albertan, and I've sold homes in Calgary since 2012. And I've been to every single nook and cranny of this city. And I've also lived across Canada as well. I went to university in Vancouver. When I joined the military when I was very young, I think I was 19 or 20 years old. I lived in Winnipeg and New Brunswick, and I've traveled all the way across the country. And I've traveled across the world as well, and I can use those experiences to highlight what makes Calgary good and what makes it bad as well. So in this video, I'll let you know my thoughts on what makes Calgary one of the best cities in the world to live in. And this video is meant to be bullet point, right to the point. And point number one is high paying jobs and low provincial taxes in Alberta. That's the main draw for most people coming to Alberta. There's just lots of opportunity in the oil and gas sector, engineering, finance, insurance, tourism, and a growing tech sector. And the taxes are less in Alberta. So that's the main draw for most coming into this city. Point number two is that we've got lower real estate prices compared to places like Vancouver and Toronto. I would say Calgary's kind of in between in terms of real estate in Canada. We're not the lowest, we're not the most expensive. It has become more expensive the last couple of years, but it is still very attainable compared to most places in Southern Ontario or British Columbia. And the last I checked, the average price of a detached home is about $750,000. You'll find condos and townhouses anywhere from the 200s all the way to the 300s, 400s and up. But for the most part, Calgary is more attainable than other parts of the country. Point number three is unmatched access to the Rocky Mountains and the outdoor lifestyle of the city. So we've got easy access to places like Lake Louise, Sunshine Village, Fernie, excellent skiing. You got biking, camping, hiking, golfing, tubing down the Bow River and the Elbow Rivers. It's very much an outdoor city, and there's dog parks everywhere, walking trails. There's two rivers that flow throughout the city. The city is very much designed to be a green, walkable, and outdoors type place to live. Point number four, it's one of the sunniest places in all of Canada. Right now it's actually raining, which is a bit unusual for March, but we do have about 333 days per year of sunshine. It's almost always sunny here. Point number five, commutes are short and traffic is not that bad. Now, if you talk to most people, they'll always say their city has the worst traffic. If you talk about Calgary, that's not the case. I think Calgary has some of the best traffic and roads in the entire country. It is easy to get around the city. It's way easier than Vancouver, where you can't turn left anywhere. You're either behind a bus or you can't turn left. There's no freeways in the city. Vancouver is very difficult to drive in. Toronto is an absolute nightmare. Winnipeg's not that good. Montreal is confusing. I think Calgary is the easiest place in the country to get around in, and I think we are spoiled when it comes to traffic congestion and getting around. And on that point number six, the ring road is finally opened, and it's even easier to get around the city. You can zip around the entire city on the perimeter road, going 110 kilometers an hour, uninterrupted. So it's just a very easy city to get around in. Point number 7 and 8, I'm going to tie these in together, and that is Calgary is great for families. There's tons of parks, playgrounds, and schools throughout the city. And Calgary is also a very safe and clean city, one of the cleanest cities in the world. Point number 9, we can't forget the Calgary Stampede. This is one of the biggest parties of the year in Canada, and it takes place every July, and I think it lasts about 10 days. One of the biggest parties you'll ever go to in Canada. It's always a great time. And the next point, I think that Calgary used to get a bad rap when it came to the food and dining scene, but it is on the up and up, and I think it's actually getting quite good. And we do have a growing culinary scene, and it's becoming more diverse. And I think we're actually doing a pretty good job on this front. And there's microbreweries all over the city, lots of cool restaurants opening up. So I think we are improving rapidly. Maybe not as good as Vancouver or Toronto, but we're getting up there. It's not too bad at all. And the next point, this is one of my favorites. It's the entrepreneurial spirit of Calgary. Now, it seems a bit odd, but that's like the culture of Albertans. I think we're very industrious, and we're like worker bees. It's a younger city, it's a working city. Calgary is by no means like a retirement destination. It is a place to come to work. And I find people here have a very can-do spirit, and they're very entrepreneurial. And that's one of my favorite things about the city. And the next point is our international airport and global connections. So Calgary has a nice modern airport, not the busiest airport, but it's quite good. And you can fly to most places in North America direct. And even to places in Europe and Asia, you can fly direct from Calgary to Tokyo, Calgary to London, to Paris, to Amsterdam, Ireland as well, direct. So it is quite good and convenient. And the next point, Calgarians and Albertans are super friendly. It's easy to get along with people here, easy to make friends, and I would say that Calgary is also one of the most diverse cities in the entire world. If you go to any major mall, especially on the weekends, you will quickly see how diverse the city really is, and everyone seems to get along. And the next point, Calgary is a modern and growing city. So everything here is somewhat new, and we're expanding rapidly, and I'd say we're expanding in 3 different directions, north, south, and east. And I think in the near future, Calgary will overtake places like Airdrie, Chestermere, Okotoks. It'll just be like a giant mega city, kind of like how Dallas, Texas is. So we're always expanding, we're always growing, and it's just a bit of a modern city with lots of development happening. All right, let's talk about some of the negative things about Calgary now, because there are many. And the first one being the weather. Now, Calgary's not the hottest place, not the coldest place, but I think we're definitely up there in terms of how unpredictable it really is. So today is late March. Usually March is a very snowy month in Calgary, but if you look outside the window, there is no snow. There's even green grass, and it was raining today. That is highly unusual, but that's just how Calgary is. It's a weird place in terms of weather. It could be hot, cold, rainy, hailstorms, super windy, all in 1 week. It's just a very random place. It can go from -40 all the way to +10 in a matter of hours during a Chinook. And in the summertime, it can get quite hot, over 30 degrees Celsius. And I would say the weather here is just a bit harsh. Like it's either raining coming at you sideways, hailstorms, tornadoes, -40. It can be harsh like that, but it can also be very pleasant. So I'd say it's just a bit more unpredictable than it is super hot or super cold. It's just all over the map. Next point, it's super dry here, which can be good, but it's also quite bad as well, especially in the winter. You'll get, your face will crack, nosebleeds, your hands will split apart. So definitely buy a humidifier if you're coming from out east, where you're used to that kind of humidity. But out here, it's super dry most of the time. And point number 4, public transportation is okay, but having a car is a must in Calgary. Now, our public transportation system, it's good, it's not great. The city does cover a massive land area, so to have like LRT stops everywhere with our population and the size of the city, it's just not practical. But it is okay for most people. There's room for improvement still. Point number 5 is constant construction and potholes. Calgary is always under construction. It seems like we have winter and then we have construction. And last year there were potholes all over the place. I don't know what was happening, but it looked like a war zone. Like there was just potholes everywhere. And it can be kind of annoying because it's constantly under construction. Calgary is always growing. There's always brand new communities, and it's just a nonstop construction. And the next point, I would say that the downtown is not that lively, and there are some social issues nowadays too. So I would say that the downtown core has always had the stigma that it's just like a 9 to 5 place, and then people go to the suburbs afterwards. And it's not that lively, which I would say is correct. There are pockets of the inner city that are quite lively, like the Kensington area, the Beltline, 17th Avenue. But for the most part, the downtown core is not that lively. And I find there's a lot more homeless and addicts around the downtown nowadays as well. So it could use some improvement, in my opinion. And on the topic of nightlife, sure, during the Stampede, it's quite fun to be in Calgary. That only lasts like 10 days, and then it's kind of back to usual. So it's not the most lively city, in my opinion. It's not terrible, but it's nowhere near like Vancouver or Toronto or Montreal. It's not terrible, but it could use some help. And the next point is the suburbs all look the same to me. And especially as a real estate agent, I will go from places in the deep, deep northwest all the way to the deep southeast. And the neighborhoods look identical. The same style of home, vinyl siding, 2-story, front attached garage, 1,800 square feet, blah, 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 blah. They're all the same. And that kind of annoys me. I think we should have more creativity in the city, but that's just the way it is. I don't make the rules, but I do find it can be a bit bland at times in the deep suburbs. Next point is on schooling. So there are lots of good schooling options in Calgary, but I always hear from people that they are overcrowded. But we're always building new neighborhoods and new schools. But my whole life, we've always had this problem that the schools they're overcrowded. The next point, the city is massive and spread out. Now this can be good or bad in that people have front yards, backyards, lots of space. But the negative is that the city is just so large in land area. I already talked about this, but I think we're going to swallow Airdrie, Okotoks, Chestermere at some point and just be this massive mega city. So definitely you will have to have a car in Alberta. Otherwise, you won't like it that much, in my opinion. And the next point is the economy is still tied to the oil and gas sector. Sure, we have diversified in Calgary the past decade, but we are still heavily reliant on the oil and gas energy markets. And they fluctuate, and when things go bad, it can directly affect Calgary, and you'll see layoffs and companies relocating and stuff like that. So that's something to watch out for if you are moving here, in that it is a bit of a roller coaster. Right now, we're in a bit of a good patch, but things can definitely turn around here too. And on the economy, I would say that most jobs in Calgary are in the private sector. It's a very business entrepreneurial type city. You don't really see that many unionized jobs here or government sector jobs in Calgary. So there's less job security in this city for sure. And the next point, and I might get some heat for this, I think that Calgary is not the most artsy city in the country. Sure, arts and culture are here, but not to the same extent as places like Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal. Even places like Edmonton have more of an art scene than Calgary does. I find Calgary is kind of like a business city that loves the outdoors. That's my take on it. Sure, there are pockets, neighborhoods that are more artsy than others, and it is here, but maybe not to the same extent as in other cities. And the next point, now this could be good or bad depending on how you're looking at it, but I find that Alberta is very conservative, especially if you're coming in from places like Montreal, Toronto, Eastern Canada. They are much more liberal compared to Alberta. Now I find that Calgary can be a bit moderate compared to other parts of Alberta, especially the countryside, but you'll still find a lot of weird things in Alberta, like crazy bumper stickers, crazy flags, jacked up trucks and stuff like that. It can definitely be a bit right-leaning, I would say. But overall, I'd say that Calgary is fairly moderate. Maybe not as moderate as Edmonton, but I think everyone gets along here in Alberta. But if you are coming here from somewhere else, be prepared for a bit more of a conservative mindset. And the last point here, what bugs me the most about Alberta is how brown it is. So it is late March right now, and if you look out the window behind me, just kind of like an ugly kind of brown tan color. I hate that. Not a very lush environment in terms of greenery. It's just a semi-arid climate, and that does kind of bother me. And if you are thinking about making a move, buying, selling, or relocating, I've got some free resources for you. If you check the comments on this YouTube video, the pinned comment has a buyer's guide, seller's guide, and a relocation guide, all free for download. And if you go to my website, ryangillard.ca, and go to the top, if you go to buy, there's a mortgage calculator. You can view all properties in here. In the sell section, you can request a home evaluation. And if you want to get in touch with me, I'm pretty easy. If you go to the About and go to Contact Us, you can just fill out your name, email, phone number, and your message. I will get it and get back to you. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you.